Welcome! How are we doing today? Let's give ourselves a round of applause. Well, we're going to be talking about reaching the top today. We've got 4 high-level executives who did just that. They reached the top. So we're talking about their career path, their career growth. So I will launch in very quickly because we don't have much time. And I'm going to ask the speakers to introduce themselves. Tell us what you do and where you work. And we'll do round robin. We'll start with Joanne.
TGIF. Can you guys hear me?
Wait, is it? What did you say? There.
Hello, TGIF. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Has it been a good conference?
Yes.
I'm Ann Herold. I am super excited to be here. I can't think of a better way to spend my Friday afternoon with you guys at Georgia Tech. What I do, I am the Chief Marketing Officer for a company called Interface. And what we do is we make modular carpet tiles. We are mostly commercial and go into office buildings, but we also have a consumer brand called Floor. And I've been with them for about 2.5 years. Interface is also a pioneer in sustainability. And our founder, Ray Anderson, had a spear in the chest moment about 20 years ago and really was one of the preeminent leaders in sustainability. So not only do I get to work for a company that sells beautiful products, but we're a company with a mission and a purpose. So anyway, that's who I am.
Hey guys, I'm Shannon Delaney and I head up digital and marketing at a company called Kids2. Which is a company everybody thinks they heard of, but they don't really know what it is. But we are a house of brands. So we actually own a brand called Baby Einstein. Maybe some of you know, some nods, yeah. Maybe you had some younger siblings that watched some of those wacky videos when they were babies. We also have some other brands called Bright Starts and Ingenuity, and we also have a brand called Comfort Harmony. And we make a variety of toys and kids' baby gear. So it's really fun. I've been there for a year. Last week was my 1-year anniversary. Before that, I spent almost 17 years, I'm really old saying that, on the agency side. So I got a big background in agency life and kind of moved over to the other side. So it's been an interesting adventure.
I'm Jonathan Karron, and I'm the Vice President of Brand and Digital Marketing at the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. So I work in a cause-based organization as well. And just curious, who's heard of Boys and Girls Clubs of America? And keep your hand up if you think you know what we actually do. All right, a lot of hands go down. So we have 4,100 clubs around the country, and we serve kids, mostly at-risk kids, predominantly after-school programs, as well as in the summer, so that they have a safe place to go and learn and become good citizens. So I'm really excited. It's my first time working full-time in the nonprofit world, and I love the fact that what I do, I'm a marketer, and I love marketing, but I also love the fact that what I do will actually help society. So thanks for being here today.
Good afternoon.
I'm Peter Sorckoff. I'm the Chief Creative Officer and the SVP Marketing for your Atlanta Hawks. And inside of that is a bunch of different stuff. It's the typical stuff that you imagine on brand, advertising, promotion, our digital and social team, but it's also our fan experience and fan engagement group, as well as our team presentation team and retail operations. So, a big mixed bag of stuff that makes every day a little bit different.
Pretty cool.
Can I add something? The Dress for Success panel is out there, and it seems that the appropriate attire for men is gray sport coat with dark jeans.
So the navy blue doesn't cut it? Is that what you're
I think
saying?
that's what you should be wearing.
Well, and the women have on
Right.
sassy shoes.
Right. Sorry.
You go with my sassy shoes too, but I thought I'd stick with the blazer.
Sassy shoes.
Awkward. No, anyway, you know what I want you to do is take us through your career path, like how you start, where you went to school, and then say, I did this, and then I did this, and then I did this. And here I am today, TGIF.
TGIF. I started my career as a star. I was a star at McDonald's. And what that means is I was a store activity representative, which meant I got to wear the Hamburglar costume and give birthday parties. So that's 16 years old is where I started. I learned so much though about values and work ethic, and McDonald's was, if you're leaning, you're cleaning, and all kind of things. So I was up for anything every day. I went to undergrad at Mississippi State, majored in PR and communications, got real involved in the university, and really tried to, was on the student council and headed up PR there. Went on from there and went to Honey Baked Ham, and truly started as a marketing manager and then a senior marketing manager, and all the way through the rungs of marketing, and ended up as chief marketing officer there. Decided my dream job was to be a consultant, and actually hated it. And then went on from there to Arby's Restaurant Group, and headed up brand and our Arby's Foundation, and then got the opportunity to do crisis and PR communication, and then got the opportunity to go work for Interface, and jumped at the opportunity. So that's, and then on the side I went and got my MBA in international business at Mercer University here.
Cool. Shannon?
Oh boy. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version of the story because I've been working for a long time. I would say that I did hair for a while. I had the Indigo Girls as some of my clients, and that is back-breaking work. Literally. And then I ran bed and breakfast for a while here in Atlanta, and during the time that I was doing that, this 1996, this thing came along called the web, and there were websites, and you could put a website out there. So I decided to build a website for the bed and breakfast, and back then you had to actually manually list your websites with search engines, and there were all these other weird search engines out there, no Google at the time. Imagine that, a world without Google. And so I kind of got into it from that angle, and I just kind of fell in love with that whole digital side of the world. I actually didn't go to college. I'm the ringer on the panel. I'm the, I guess, example of sometimes hard work really does pay off. And so I got into an agency here in Atlanta that was a teeny tiny little agency in 1997, and just started working and doing things like user experience before there was even such a thing as that. And we built wireframes and PowerPoint, and we were just kind of in this wild west of digital, trying to figure it out every day and learn new things. And then as I just kind of progressed through my career, I worked for a software company for a while. Back before there was email marketing, I worked for an email marketing startup company and built one of the first email marketing platforms. And then from there, I got into a small agency here in town that got picked up by a larger national agency, and got to experience the whole other side of brand and marketing communication. So I kind of just went almost like this way that a doctor goes through tours and picks up different skill sets, and was just kind of building this toolbox of skills along the way. And so I did a lot of time in the agency world, and just kind of worked on teams. I did a lot of work, for example, on Coca-Cola. I worked on Home Depot for about 5 years, running digital strategy for them through the digital side of our agency. And just got lots of really great experience. So when the opportunity came to go to Kids 2 and start up their first ever digital team, I was pretty much sure that if I didn't get that job, I was just not going to know how to cope. So here it is 1 year later.
I did not run a bed and breakfast, but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night. I didn't do hair either. I actually went to school at University of Maryland, Fear the Turtle, although not this year in football at least. But I was a poli-sci major, and I wanted to go near DC and study politics. But I took an advertising class, and this professor really fascinated me. And the science and the psychology behind influencing behaviors and trying to get people to do things really interested me. So I actually switched and went down a journalism advertising track. And so I wanted to work in the agency world, and Melrose Place I went before Melrose Place. I'm dating myself, but advertising seemed really sexy. And so I worked for several large ad agencies in New York, in Atlanta, in Dallas, and Chicago, and I did media buying and planning, field marketing, account service, and I really enjoyed it. But after doing that for years, I decided I really thought the brand strategy side was really fascinating, and the psychology versus more of the execution stuff. So I went back to school and got my MBA, and then went to work for Turner Broadcasting, and spent a little more than 5 years there working on Turner Classic Movies and trying to rebrand that network and make a classic movie channel more contemporary for younger audiences. And then I shifted to a company called Hershon Family Entertainment that none of you have probably ever heard of, but they're based in Atlanta, and they run Stone Mountain Park, they run Dollywood, the Harlem Globetrotters, and brands that you've probably heard of and hopefully enjoyed. And spent 5 years there doing digital and brand marketing there. And then moved over to Boys and Girls Clubs 5 months ago, and I'm getting my feet wet in the nonprofit world.
I too have a non-traditional background. I jumped out of university in my second year. Just wasn't a really good fit for me at that particular time. And I, at the same time, had started my own business. So I had a very entrepreneurial spirit, which is maybe part of the reason why I didn't mesh well with my post-secondary aspirations. I actually ran a very small business brokering high-end cars. I grew up as a total gearhead, but unfortunately I grew up poor, which meant that I loved those cars, but I could never be around them. So I found a way to be around them, and I realized that people who had money generally didn't have time. People who didn't have money generally had time, which is the category I fit in. So I put those two things together. I built a little business till I was about 23. And an interesting thing happened. I did all of my business on word of mouth. And I met an individual who was actually starting a new hockey team. And he was referred to me. He had a very high-end car. I sold it really quickly, which was actually sort of an anomaly. I got a lot more money than he expected. And he said, "You need to come work for me." So I started working for him. The deal was I was going to go back to school because you should stay in school. I'll say that again, you should stay in school. And the deal was that if I came to work for him full time, he would pay for the rest of my education. So I negotiated books. Don't worry, I was savvy. And within 6 months, I was his director of marketing, and I really had the very, very good fortune. This is why you should stay in school. I had the very good fortune of having a very patient series of mentors who actually helped teach me the business because I had a lot of energy and I was coachable. And so one thing led to the next. I also opened up my own production company and consulting firm. Was again very fortunate to win some bids like the National Boxing Championship in Canada, which I know you're laughing right now, but it's sort of a big deal in Canada. We also did the Goodwill Games. We did a lot of consulting for some NHL teams. Then I got taken over by an NHL team, which was terrific. That was my first foray into professional sports in that realm. My first boss was Bret the Hitman Hart in professional sports. Kind of cool. Yes, he did put me into the sharpshooter. Which I thought was going to be funny because I thought wrestling was fake. I'm here to tell you it's not. And one thing led to the next. After working there for a couple years, I was recruited by Turner Broadcasting to come down and help them put the Atlanta Thrashers together.
How'd that work out?
It was actually really, really great for a while. They had a minute, and it was a really good minute, actually. And then that team was wrapped up with the Atlanta Hawks and sold to a new ownership group along with Phillips Arena. At which time I left Turner and went with the new ownership group, and that turned into, hey, we love what you did over there. Can you do that for the Hawks as well? Which I did, and then we sold the hockey team. So I came to Atlanta for hockey, stayed for basketball, and the rest is history.
Fantastic. Interesting, look at the broad set of things that they've done in their past, before they settled on what they did now. This is probably none of their last careers. They'll probably do something different. To get to the top, one, I want to start with, what do you look for when you interview someone? What are the qualities you look for, Joanne and Shannon, all of you, that are really exciting? And then I'm going to ask you something. The next question we'll go through, but what do you look for?
The qualities I look for, well, first of all, can they do the job, of course, and do they have the passion to do it? I also ask, what do you love to do? What do you hate to do? Just to get an idea of if they're a fit for the role. Look for somebody who's real involved and who likes to do things, and has, college, were they involved in school, did they extracurricular activities, or did they work full-time, while they were in school. But most important, I look for people who have a sense of humor, who like to have fun, who, so much of what we do is cross-collaborative and working with teams, and the ability to get along with others is super key. So those would be some of the things that I look for when I'm reaching out for new roles. And then people who can roll their sleeves up and get the job done, and who go above and beyond.
For me, it's a lot of culture fit and personality first, really, more than anything, because I think a lot of people can do the job, but it's how you're going to go about doing the job. So we definitely look for culture, and that's a big part of Kids Too. And we are a company that's about toys and fun, so we want people who will fit in there. But also very aware of the fact that to really be good in digital marketing, you need a good mix of introverts and extroverts. So understanding that everybody doesn't have to look like you, and there's a lot of power in those more introverted personalities because they're usually listening a little bit better than the extroverts. I'm an extrovert, I can say that. And then another piece of it is people who are they're almost like you're never personally satisfied with the knowledge that you have, and then you're always out to learn more. The biggest thing I can say about the digital space is it's kind of like you think about a shark. If it stops swimming, it dies. If you stop learning in this space, you die. You get stagnant. So people who are really interested in learning, the next thing that's coming around the corner, and just always challenging yourself to kind of take your knowledge up a level.
I think it's really important to be able to sell yourself in an interview, but not be overly aggressive. I'm interviewing for a couple of positions right now on my team, and you look at a job description, you have to be able to explain how you can tell your story and the experiences that you've had can benefit the company. We're looking to hire people that have certain skills, as we've talked about. You have to explain why your skills are the ones that best match up to it. I always ask at the end of an interview, I say, I'm interviewing a lot of really interesting people with good backgrounds here. Give me your elevator pitch, why you? And that's a really telling, their answer is really telling for me in terms of, are they able to articulate in a very quick way their benefits? It's like you're marketing a product, you have to very succinctly say, I do this, this, and this well, and they have to be able to articulate that in an interview because we're interviewing multiple candidates.
Yeah.
So I think for me, and now that you know just a little bit about my background, that's also the lens that I see the world through, right? So it's the lens that I look at people through as well. And I have to sort of resist that sometimes because you don't want to just hire a bunch of people that look and think exactly like you do. I think that was a really, really good point. Case in point, I'll tell you that the best mascots, because we were talking about mascots earlier, are always introverts. Always. If you ever are in a position where you're going to hire somebody who's going to be in a costume, look for somebody who is deeply introverted. You guys know why? Yeah, somebody who's an extrovert wants to take the head off when they do something funny and say, it's me! That was classic, right? That was great! Did I make you laugh? The introvert wants to keep the head on because they're thriving under there, knowing that nobody knows it's them, and it's an outlet for them to be able to go into a space that in their normal life, they really don't feel comfortable. So if you're ever hiring a mascot, keep that in mind.
I was mortified as the Hamburglar, though.
Well, Grimace is a lot easier to act or the Fry Guys are a lot easier too. They've really made it tough on you early. I would say, for me, two innate qualities that I'm always looking for signals from, especially for younger people when you don't have, a long track record or resume, there are signals that you can demonstrate on your resume and in an interview to tell me that you're a curious person, right? And I don't mean curious strange. I mean curious, not that that's wrong, but more curious, you like to understand why do things work the way they work, right? Because what that signals to me is you're the kind of person who's going to come in and not solely be a task-focused doer. You're going to be somebody who's going to look at process and say, well, what if we did it like that? Has anybody thought about it like that? And then the second thing to counterbalance curiosity is coachability. okay? Because I've also met a lot of curious people that when you say, well, we do it like that and we're happy doing it like that, they say you're stupid. And when you're young, that's a bad thing to do early in your career, right? So it's like, okay, I guess I understand that. I can let that go and move on to the next thing to be curious about. I will tell you from my perspective, because I have a very broad and diverse group of full-time talent that really supports what I do in my particular space and the things that I have to get done or that I'm responsible for. And I tell them, and I tell my senior management team all of the time, we're not running or leading a company, right? We're not leading an organization, we're leading people. So hire people. And that means I need to understand a little bit about what makes you tick, right? What are your triggers, what motivates you, what makes you happy? And so anytime that you can signal some of those kind of things, it gives me a little bit of insight about how easy or not so easy it may be to manage somebody like you, or frankly, whether you're going to be a good fit next to some of the other teammates that you're going to be in a department with, right? And the point was made about loading too many of the same kind of people up in one space can actually be really counterproductive. So any insight you can share with me on that gives me a much better shot at where to place you in our organization.
Can I add one more thing? Because as I said, I've been interviewing about 20 different people in the last 2 weeks, and one question, it's a typical interview question, is what are things that you could do better? What are your weaknesses? And I'm so surprised that people can't answer that question articulately. And I think you have to recognize that there are some things you can't do well and have that answer down and turn it into a strength if possible. Like I've been doing digital marketing for the past 10 years, but I'm not a very technical person, so I say that's not an area of strength for me. I can't tell you the guts of how things work. I can tell you what I want them to do, and I understand the user experience and what it would take to get people to do certain things, but how you make that happen doesn't work. And so I've turned, it's not a strength of mine, but I kind of cover up a weakness. But it's shocking to me how many people can't articulate a weakness. So be prepared to have some answer to that question, but that doesn't make you look bad.
I heard you mention Strength Finder in the last session, and Interface is a strength-based culture, and so we really use the philosophy of strengths as far as building teams and understanding the individual. And it's also, if you know your strengths, it's great in an interview because you can articulate what it is your strengths are. And then the bottom ones that maybe aren't high up, you can also talk through those too, and they're not necessarily weaknesses. It's just, it's not necessarily where you want to play also, but it really gives the interviewer a good glimpse into who you are. And I think it makes the candidate really purposeful about what they're looking for. So I thought that was really good advice you gave earlier.
Thanks. I'm glad you guys do it.
Yeah, we believe in it to the core.
It's fantastic. It's and at Microsoft, when I was at Microsoft, they made us take that. But it's a book called Strength Finders 2.0. Has anyone read it? You have read it. Did you like it?
I enjoyed it a lot.
Did you take the quiz, the test?
The online test?
Yes.
I did.
What did it tell you about yourself?
I don't remember because I took it 3.5 years ago, but I was in the last session and I've been trying to think ever since about what my strengths were.
And I said in the last session, who was in the last session? I didn't know where you were. Oh, a lot of the other ones. So ignore me. But no, Strength Finders, absolutely. That and Corporate Confidential are the two books you must read. Corporate Confidential by Cynthia Shapiro. Cynthia Shapiro, Shapiro. Corporate Confidential is titled subtitled The 50 Things That Will Get You Fired That Your Company Doesn't Want You to Know About. And it is the rule book for corporate America.
Not 50 Shades of Grey.
That's the other rule about
That can get you fired too.
The advertising business.
Not being judgy.
So that's great. It talks about what to do right, what can really sabotage your career. And this one, so Strength Finders though is excellent because basically like Joanne was saying, it tells you play to your strengths, play to your inherent strengths. It's going to be easier that way. If you're a 7, 8, or a 9 right now in a certain area, you can easily get to a 9 or a 10. But if whatever you're weak in, you're never going to get that good in. So play to your strengths. But the best part of the book is this online quiz that you took where questionnaire that you took that spits out, asks you all these questions and spits out a 6-page analysis of all your strengths and your weaknesses. And to your point, Joanne, I think what was great about it is it starts giving you grist for an interview to say, why do you want this job? Well, I'll tell you why. I looked at the job description, and these are the key qualities, skills you need to be good at it. And let me tell you, I have those. And let me give you some examples and a story that can illustrate that. So those are 2 books, and I like it. I'm going to throw it out to the audience now. What questions do you all have for these?
So my question, I guess, is to all of you, but you all are CMOs, very high positions. Why should we all be why should we follow you? What strengths do you have that make you a great leader, and what can we work on developing that'll let us someday be in your place?
I don't know if you should follow me. And I don't just say that as a joke. I mean, I think you should follow us and other people and really you should follow those that you really admire, that are doing great work in areas devoted to marketing and advertising, and in other areas that are your passion, your personal passions. Follow those people. Follow those examples. We may not be the right mentors for you, for the right people. So who do you love? I mean, because I teach at Georgia, and students will ask me, how do I figure out what I'd love to do? I said, well, just do a lot of reading and find out what other people are doing and just model yourself after that. But what do you think?
I have a point. I will say this. I never thought this would be what I did. I never had an end game in mind. I think for me, this is just me personally, I spent my whole career running 2 problems and just jumping in where there was chaos. I never said, I'm going to get that job or that title, or I'm going to try to get this promotion. Never once. I would have gone to work at Kids 2 just to be there for any title. It wasn't really about that for me. It was that I believed in the company and the purpose and the things that the company was involved in that aligned up with my personal values. So there's that, but never once was it about that. And I think that's a really big piece of advice for this millennial generation. I manage a lot of millennials, and I think that culturally you guys come right out of school and you put a lot of pressure on yourself to achieve and go and ladder up and move to the next thing and go and go and go. And sometimes you just have to cut yourself some slack, give it a minute, just get in there and roll up your sleeves, have fun doing your job, have fun working with the people that you work with, get some satisfaction out of the work that you're doing, look at the results, step back and go, we did this together. I was part of that. I got smarter along the way. And if you're just kind of focused at it from that angle, all that good stuff comes. It just comes to you because you operate it from that perspective. You radiate a light around you that people want to be around you, and they want to do work with people like that. So I think that's just probably the main advice that I would have, is to just not put all this pressure on yourself. And there's a lot of examples that people say, oh God, millennials, it's 6 months in, they would think they should be the VP. I don't have that kind of attitude. I like the drive, I like the curiosity, and I like the energy that you guys bring to the table to want to be better. But at the same time, you got to balance that out, working alongside other people that maybe Gen Xers have been there a while and feel like, hey man, you got to pay some dues before you can get on this ride with me. I think if you just go at it with let's focus on the work, let's do good things together, and let's get results, you're going to be good. You're going to do great things.
Yeah, and do what you love and love what you do. And when I was at Arby's, there was a lot of the teammates who sat in cubes, and people would come to my office a lot and say, I want to move up the chain, and I want to do more things, and I want to be from a manager to a director. And I'd say, well, what's driving that? Well, I want to move out of the cube. And I would say, well, you know what? Here's what you need to do. Take whatever task you have, just do a awesome job and kill it and over deliver on your deliverables and love it and have passion about it and get other people passionate about it, and you'll move from the cube to the window. That's no thing. If you don't love it, then go find
Something you did.
what you love. For those of you, the women in the room, Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In, has a great section in her book about it's not about moving up. Sometimes it's the jungle gym and getting new and different experiences to have a taste of what you enjoy. And I don't know, my long career, there's some things I've loved and some things I've just hated. I've learned as much from the things I didn't like as I loved.
I think to add on to that, especially at the early stages of your career, try different things. You can be a generalist or you can be a specialist, but I'd say try a few things and see what you like because sometimes you may get to a point in your career where you've done something for several years and that's all anybody wants to hire you for. So if you get very specialized and you realize you don't love it, you may get a little bit trapped or have to take a lateral or a step back before you can take a step forward. I'm a curious person by nature, and I've done several things in my career. I started in ad sales, and then media planning and media buying, and then field account service, and then more kind of brand account service, and then client side. And I was brand, and then digital, and then I was digital, and then brand again. So I've tried to add tools to the toolbox, and I believe if you have more tools in the toolbox, you can do more things, and more options are available to you.
So I throw a few things out. Again, one, find a mentor, right? Find somebody who's doing something or living a way that you'd like to be living. I was very lucky that I found people that were very successful in business, and I admired how they handled their career, but I also really admired how they handled their personal life, right? Because there's lots of people out there who have great careers, and then you sort of get to see behind the scenes, and it's kind of like, ooh, I don't know if that's me. So that is me, but I think if you find that mentor for yourself, make it easy for them, right? I mentor a few people, and my deal is I'm not chasing you around, okay? I don't have a lot of time. If you want my time, make it easy for me. Don't have a book coffee with me and then be like, so I don't really know what I want to talk about right now, right? You need to know when you get a window of time with that person, you have very specific questions, you are looking for very specific things for them, and I promise you, if you find a good mentor like that, they're going to want to give it to you all for free, right? Because the mentors in my life, they already have it all, okay? They don't need more money, they bought every house they could want, they have planes and cars and whatever else stuff. That part's done for them. This is a different level of fulfillment for them now, okay? They see someone who they maybe see a little piece of themselves in. And you go, gosh, I remember when I was like that. You know what? Whippersnapper, like if I could just get that kid to take the cotton out of his ears and put it in his mouth and listen long enough to what I'm saying, he could really be something, right? You need to find somebody like that because they will shepherd you along if you make it easy for them, and they will introduce you to a lot of people, okay? And so my whole success is predicated on relationships. I'll tell you that right now. I have no degree. Remember, I failed in my second year. I'm not even actually sure I got through my first year, if I was really honest about it. But what I realized from my mentors is everything is relationships. And so I put my effort and energy into managing my relationships. And then I was also very, very lucky. I had somebody who basically said, if you were a product, Peter, what product would you be? Okay, and this is an exercise I take all of my staff through, my senior staff, and it's also something that I do with every crop of new people that we onboard in our company, partly because I enjoy doing it. And there's two exercises I'm going to give you. So get your pen ready. No, really, you should get your pen ready. Oh, I'm sorry, get your tablet ready. All right, open up your phone. And the first one is, if you were a brand, okay, and there's lots of different ways to define the term brand, but for me, just for this exercise, it's your promise of performance, right? And every single person that I interview, this is the last part of the interview that I do with them. That's why I love your elevator pitch. You should be able to write in 2 sentences what your promise of performance is to me if I hire you. And then the second exercise is write 1 to 15 down on your page and give me 15 attributes that describe your brand. Generally, they're adjectives, generally, right? They're not sentences, they're not phrases, they are single words. If you want to cheat, you might hyphenate one or two. And then what that will start to do when you're sitting in front of whether it's a mentor or that hiring manager, you will be able to, like what was earlier shared, really be able to articulate what you're going to bring to the equation for me. And you're also going to be able to, essentially for me, whether you realize it or not, disseminate you from all the other people that I interviewed, right? Because if you're a known commodity for me, even if you don't have the track record to prove it, but if you're a known commodity for me, then you're worth me taking a chance on. And if I believe you're curious and coachable at the same time, and I see how you see yourself, then there's not nearly as much risk in the equation for somebody like me. And by the way, whatever your list is that you write, whatever your 2 sentences are that you write as your brand promise, that can evolve over time, right? Go back and revisit that. Hopefully once a year, maybe more often than that. Because as you develop in your career, as you develop skills, as you get more experiences, that's going to change, and you need to be able to articulate that. Not just when you're trying to get a new job, maybe it's the job you're in when you're trying to get promoted, or you're trying to get invited to work on a new project, or whatever those different kinds of things are.
Can I just add one thing to that? I think I've had 7 or 8 jobs in my career, and only once did I get a job without it being through somebody that I knew that helped open the door for me, where I just applied online. So building and leveraging a network is critical, especially in the marketing field.
I was just gonna say, I almost never just post a job and wait for applicants to show up. Almost every time I hire somebody, I either already have a person in mind, or I tap my network and say, who do you know? Who do you know that has these skills? And it's okay if they're new to the game. Because if you guys are meeting and you're building those relationships and you're talking to people and you're getting the right exposure, people are gonna make those introductions, right? Like Jen did just a little while ago. So people will remember you, and they'll remember what you're about if you do these things, that like Peter's talking about, and you're getting the right connections and you're spending the time and taking advantage of those relationships. A lot of times it just comes your way, because I'm exactly the same. The only job I literally ever applied for in my life was this one at Kids 2, which is really bizarre. So.